And welcome back to All Over the Map. Thanks for tuning in. On this episode, we've got news of the day for the 12th of July, 2023. It's the GeoGuessr game where we feature 5 news or sports events from around the world. We try to find them on a map. Many locations, many news events from around the world that the news will present to you, but not sure probably where this is happening. So we try to bring that to you here in the GeoGuessr game. We're going to do the game as a no time limit, moving, panning, zooming aloud challenge. If you want to play along, the play along link in the description below. And off we go to find out what news event we're going to get first. And it's a positive one. So a positive news event is what we're going to start with today on News of the Day. This doesn't look too positive. Decrepit old rundown homes on a street in the United States here. But a good story here about to talk about this is the story of a mother who has transformed a neglected block near Detroit into a village of beauty and opportunity. Every parent's worst nightmare is losing their child. Shamayim Harris has lived through that nightmare twice. It's terrible. In 2007, her 2-year-old son was struck and killed in a hit and run. And then she had another heart-wrenching loss when her 23-year-old son was shot and killed during a neighborhood watch in his community. She faced profound grief, and she also discovered her strong determination to channel it into something good. For the last 15 years, her trauma has fueled her mission to transform her struggling, neglected community into a vibrant village. This is a great article here. It talks about her dreams for what could become of this neighborhood and bring life to it. And anyway, good article. I highly recommend you reading this article. The link will be in the description below. And for 8 years, it says she worked and volunteers worked to clean up the block. Some houses were torn down, others refurbished here. Once a blighted stretch of Highland Park, Avalon Street is now a green, full of life and welcoming the entire community you see here. She created Avalon Village, a nonprofit with a mission of revitalizing the street and creating safe and nurturing space for the entire community. Today, she and her organization have owned 45 lots of land across 3 blocks. Just a great thing here. Even there's a homework house for kids that want to. There's a library, computers, 3D printer, music studio for kids in the neighborhood. Great idea. I love this stuff. This is fantastic. I wish more of this would happen throughout the country. So doing good in the world there in Detroit, a city, in my opinion, that needs more of this, more good people like herself. This is the street. This is where it is. It's Avalon Street. I'm sure it's gotten better. Some parts of the street, I'm not sure where. But in any case, block by block, people, you can change the world. We can do it one step at a time. Again, on these types of games, these news of the day things, I will add commentary from time to time. My thing is pretty much presenting to you the actual location in the story and finding the location where this is happening. But also, too, I'll add a word or two from time to time, try to keep things positive. But if you have any comments or any thoughts on this, if you see anything where people could need some help, let us know. Comment down below. And we're going to find this in Detroit, Michigan. So Detroit's featured a lot of hard times of late, and here's Highland Park. Avalon Street is what we're looking for, which is here. So this is this neighborhood. It's beneficiary of somebody transforming grief into good. I love it. It's an unfortunate situation. It's really sad that she's lost her children like that. But channeling into good thoughts. So really like this one to start the news of the day. And there we are, right down the street. And we've got the sound on, unfortunately. But we'll get off to the second round. We go from Detroit to Finland. And this does involve Detroit, not Detroit, but the president that oversees the United States, Detroit. We got Helsinki Airport. Why is this important? Well, the president is arriving in Helsinki on Air Force One, probably by the time this gets uploaded. Around the same time this video will get uploaded, he will be arriving in Finland to begin an official visit on Thursday at the invitation of his Finnish counterpart. He will fly directly from Vilnius, where the NATO summit's been occurring, and he's going to stay overnight in Helsinki before holding a bilateral meeting with the president of Finland, attending a Nordic U.S. leaders summit on Thursday. The summit will take place at the presidential palace in downtown Helsinki. Yeah, a lot of security. I'm sure. Love to hear from you folks that are in the area. A lot of security. What's going on? Does anybody know where actually he's staying? Is he staying right in the city center? Wonder where presidents normally stay if they visit. The last sitting, this is interesting, the last sitting U.S. president to visit Finland was Donald Trump, where he met Russian President Vladimir Putin in Helsinki in 2018. Interesting. Previous summits between U.S. president and Nordic leaders have taken place in Stockholm and Washington. First time, I guess, here in Helsinki. So that's always pretty cool. There he is, President Biden, 46th president, walking down the steps from Air Force One, which will happen shortly. So let's find out where this is. The airport here. We got, looks like European Union and Finnish flags there. The airport terminal. Wonder how many of you that are watching this have flown out of this airport. I'm sure a good bunch of you that watch this. So that's why I've included this in here. But important because, you know, we're coming from the NATO. Let's see. So here's the airport. And the NATO summit is in Vilnius. So it's almost due north. Almost. In any case, here's the airport. I think we're right about there. And I'm sure the motorcade for the president will be coming down. Would it be coming down 45? Let me know. And if anybody sees this or has got video, it'd be pretty cool. I know that there's a lot of YouTube channels like Penguin 6 that I've referenced before that it does a lot of let's say train spotting, but and plane spotting, but spotting of the presidential motorcades and stuff like that in DC. I know there's somebody like that, Cobra Emergency or something, YouTube channel in England. Wonder if there's somebody like that that does the spotting of, you know, dignitaries and officials in Helsinki or different things going on in the environs in Helsinki. I'm curious. If you have any ideas on that YouTube channel, just let me know. It looks like Biden will be coming down here, down the 45, I guess, there this evening. So there we are, Biden in Finland, 5,000 points. And we get off to the third news event of the day, and it's one where it takes us to the United States again. And we got Sarducci's Restaurant and Bar, hopefully still there, but here's a river in the capital city of Montpelier, Vermont. This is, I guess it's a capital there, but small town. But this raging river has been dealing a lot of water here in Montpelier, Vermont, from just terrible rains, all kinds of crazy stuff going on, and devastating. It's been devastating, especially the capital city. Crews in Vermont are there it is. There's a picture there of Montpelier. Crews in Vermont are assessing the damage after a storm dumped up to 2 months of rain in a matter of days, triggering dangerous flash floods that have submerged homes. The state's governor said there's been historic and catastrophic flooding. More than 100 rescues have taken place there since Sunday. Business started to clean up all that stuff. So yeah, this is not just Montpelier, but through the whole state of Vermont. It's been crazy the amount of flooding going on there, but a lot of damage there in Vermont. And so we're going to look this up because I don't know a couple things. Beautiful, beautiful state. Anybody that's not from the United States, Vermont's one of my favorite states. Very beautiful state, but also too, one of the smallest state capitals in terms of population. You think of state capital, you're thinking of large cities, Indianapolis, Indiana, stuff like this. But in Vermont is Montpelier, and this is the capital. This is where the governor lives. This is where all the state legislatures, all that politicking goes on in Vermont. Very beautiful cities you see here. But with the mountains nearby, raging rivers, and a lot of rain over the past couple of days, you can see where this can get flooded. So let's take a look at this, where this has been happening. The floods have been happening in this part of the United States. I think low pressure systems sending a lot of rain. But in the summer, in the winter, there's a lot of snow. And I think this year's been a pretty, it's a hefty year, but a lot of snow in this part. I could be wrong on that. Anybody that's from this area, let me know. But I believe this has been one of the hardest hit winters in terms of snow. So just a lot of precipitation. The one thing I will say, being from the northeastern region of the United States, is that there's been a lot of cooler, wetter in this part of the United States, cooler, wetter weather over the past 4 months or so, with a trough that's been in the east here, warmer weather out west, but it seems to be that way. And I think when that happens, you get a lot more potential for rain and storms. Also, one thing to note with this, because this is, I would say people might think, oh my God, this is crazy. This is something that is unique. It is unique, but it's not too uncommon to get flooding, to get a lot of water, to get a lot of rain. And this is the reason being, Mount Washington, who's one of the largest, Mount Washington is one of the tallest mountains in New Hampshire and on the eastern part of the United States. And as you see here in Montpelier, one thing about Mount Washington is it gets a lot of snow, gets cold weather, windy weather, a lot of weather. And the reason being is the conjunction of a lot of systems, weather systems across the North American continent converge in this general area. So there's a lot of times where there's a lot more snow in the winter, a lot of rain. So this can happen. Just a lot of low pressure systems come off this way, up the east coast, come from the west, and come sweeping down from Canada, all converging in this area because they head through the jet stream, Gulf Stream that heads across to Europe. So there's some more information than you probably need to know there about Montpelier. We get up to the fourth round, and Presidential Palace, OH2MP, has been here for the past couple of days. Tag me on Twitter. So there's a plug for my Twitter. Go check me out on Twitter. I put a lot of different content stuff up there, more than here. So check it out, please. You can connect with me there, DM me, whatever you want to do. But put a picture of him being here. It's where the NATO summit is being held. The Presidential Palace in Lithuania, Vilnius. Here it is. Here's the picture. And there's a lady there with her baby. But why is this important? Well, NATO summit has been occurring there. And this article, what is NATO and when will Ukraine join? Which countries are in NATO? So here's 12 countries, including US, UK, Canada, and France. It's 31 members across Europe and North America. Here's the expansion. Here's where it is. Great map here. Just some food for thought for those of you that don't know who's part of NATO and who's applying to join and who's joining and who's thinking of joining. And we've got applying to join Ukraine and gets closer to Russia, as we see here. Interestingly enough, look at this and I see Ireland, Switzerland, not part of NATO, Ireland, neutral country. So I guess that's what that is. Didn't really think about that one until now, honestly. But NATO, another interesting article that I will put in the description below is this by the Washington Post. 4 maps, because I know we all love maps, most of you anyway. 4 maps to explain how Sweden and Finland could alter NATO security. Another good one here, just an interactive map how, well, that line keeps getting pushed this way, and Russia seems, so you getting smaller or whatever. But yeah, borders always seem to change over time, and NATO seems to grow. So over time, NATO is growing, which is a counterbalance, as it says here, to the growing power of the Soviet Union, since 1949. The growth of this, I don't know. I mean, it serves as a purpose to protect people. I think that's the thing, right? But for me, I don't know. I go 50-50 on this one. The growth, anytime you do something, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? That whole thing. Sometimes with this, you got to be careful. Keep pushing. You push somebody, they'll push back. So what becomes protection? What is defensive versus offensive? That's the age-old question when it comes to this sort of stuff for me. What is offensive? What is defensive? What is protection? Well, I think you need to protect your country, you need to protect people, but how far do you need to go with that on each side? So I look at things objectively, and that's where I'll leave it. I'll leave it up to you to provide some commentary on what you think about this. Comment down below. So let's find out where this NATO summit was held. Like I said, it's a presidential palace, but let's take a look at this. Here's Vilnius, very close to Belarus, folks. So there's probably no coincidence that Belarus, with, I guess in support of Russia, that NATO decided to pick the closest city to have this to Russia or Belarus. No coincidence, I don't think. There's no coincidences, I feel, sometimes. And I find this funny. Let's find. Sometimes I just think, adults, just shake your hand and get along. I'm all about peace, folks. I'm a peaceful person. I want to get along with people. It's all about people. It's about people. And sometimes they call them big swinging whatever. That can be a big problem. So anyway, enough of that. Enough of my commentary. Let's find out where this is. And I am lost to where this is. I think we're here. We're just on the wrong side of it. There's the presidential palace here, which is not really shown up much. I guess that's that historic presidential palace with tours. All right, lost the point there. And we get the interesting. I know we did a little bit of weather there in Vermont, but we got another weather, I guess, news event, I guess of the week, kind of, the past couple of days, but this takes us off to southern Africa, South Africa. Why are we here in South Africa? It's a sunny day, it looks like, right? Well, nope. Not over the past couple days ago. Not sunny. It is snowing. South Africans are abuzz after first snowfall in over a decade. Again, I posted this up on, or retweeted something on Twitter, so check me out on Twitter. I put a lot of this stuff sometimes on Twitter. If you want to see more of this sort of stuff, retweeting interesting news events or different things from around the world, maps, check me out there. But Johannesburg, South Africans were abuzz on Monday following a surprise snowfall in the country's largest city, Johannesburg, the first in the area in more than a decade. Snowflakes are rare. The last occurrence in 2012. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty interesting. You see here, you see this in snow, not something that you see in Zoo Lake Park in Johannesburg often, but interesting. Disruptive snow and hypothermia. Not something at least I associate with Africa. Hypothermia. Maybe climbing the mountain, big mountain, which escapes my mind right now. Kilimanjaro. Maybe that could happen there. But other than that, don't typically see this in a major city in Africa. So there we are. Let's find out where Johannesburg. This is Johannesburg, South Africa is. We're here, right in the city center. Snow throughout this area. I think was Lesotho, or I think it was Eswatini that was below freezing and got a lot of snow as well. Higher elevation. But this whole area, even up to Zimbabwe, I think Lusaka and Zambia even saw temperatures, cold temperatures, not freezing, not below freezing, but cold that they've never seen, where people have needed to have heat, where they don't normally have heat in their homes in these areas. It's usually built for hot weather. So unusual, cool and cold and snowy conditions in the southern part of Africa this week. So there we are. That's where we were, Johannesburg. And that's news of the day for the 12th of July, 2023. If you have any comments, any thoughts on any of these events, comment down below. With that said, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, cheers.